Hello everyone, I am Harshita and today I am going to explain you about the topic approve invoices. So this is the steps in an invoice approval workflow. First, invoice is received, then it's get verified, then if any exceptions is founded or seen in the invoices, it gets flagged here. Then after that, invoices get approved after solving all the exceptions found. Then after getting approved, payments get released and that bookkeeping is done. In the stage of invoice approval, we can set some rules for approval. By following that rules only, invoices get approved. Like here is one example how the rules are set. Like if we have an invoice of less than or equal to amount of 100, then user 1 has an authority to approve that invoice. And if invoice is more than or greater than the amount of 100, then user 2 has an authority to approve that invoice. So like this, you can set a rule or a criteria of approving the invoices in the application. Now, here is one more example of approval rule. Like here is an employee of an organization who has an authority to create an invoice, and each and every invoice created by this employee gets approved by the supervisor. So this is one more example of setting the rule for getting invoice approved. So, so like this, you can set n number of rules for getting or approving the invoices in the application. Now, what are the steps which we need to follow here? First, we need to enable invoice approval option from the invoices option page. Then we will set some approval rules here. Then we will enter invoice and the rules which we have created, we will submit here. Submit invoice approval, right? Then we will approve the invoice document. Now we will move to the application and see how it's work. Now after logging to the application, we'll go to setup and maintenance. Then from task list, we will go to manage implementation projects. Then we will search and select our project. Then here under taskbar, we will search for the task invoice options. Just click here. Manage invoice option, go to task. Then go to approvals. Here approval. Then just enable invoice approval here. Now you can see allow force approval is coming. It means that despite of giving this invoice approval rules, invoice gets approved by enabling this force approval. So here no need of any rules. Just enabling that also here. And then after enabling this, just save and close. So we have set an invoice option. Now we need to create an approval rule. So for that, we will search for the task approval groups. Just click on manage approval groups for financial and go to task. Now here we are what we are doing, we are using the first example which we have discussed, that invoice of amount less than or equal to 100 we are allotting to one user, and greater than of 100 we are allotting to another user. Let's set this rule here. So for that, go to approval groups. Now just click on this add icon to create approval group. Give name here like approval group 1. Add a member here. Member is nothing but the user you want to give here. You can directly give here or just can search for the user. Just search here. Select your user. Say OK. Say OK. So we have created approval group 1. Save it. In the same manner, create one more approval group by just clicking again here in this add icon. Give the name like I'm giving here approval group 2. Add the member. Search. Select. Say OK. Say OK. Click on save. So we are done with the approval groups. Now next step is to go to task configuration, and here under search, search for the finance related workflow. Give here star in capital FIN and search for the same. Search for FIN AP invoice approval. Just click here. Go to edit task and then assignee. After that, here you can see that various nodes are available. Nodes are available for creating an approval rule. So just select a node which is already enabled in this application. These are the nodes. This is coming in blue, dark blue. So this means this node is enabled. These are not coming in that. This means these are not enabled node. So just for practice purpose, I'm using the already enabled node in this application. Just go to rule for creating the rule under the node. And here 3 rules are coming. For while creating a new rule, you must check that the already created rule are not active at that time, because when we will create the rule and apply the same during creation of the invoice, then all the rules will get applicable. So we need to inactive all the rules and then start with our creating approval rule. So just check that these are not activated, and if these are activated, just deactivate the same. So this rule is not active. That's fine. See, for this one, this is active. Just enabled, disabled this. And disable this also. Now we will create our own approval rule. So just click on this add rule, give name to your rule, like I'm giving here, sales or less than 100. Just expand this. This is coming in. This is enabled. Just give your rule here, like if in this give invoice amount, search for the invoice amount. Under invoice header, you will get invoice amount. Just expand that and select long value. Oracle recommend us to select this long value. It is nothing but Java have different classes in this application. So for that purpose, we are using long value here. Then it will be same or less than. And here we will search. You cannot directly write here 100. We always need to search and then fill this information. Click on constant and write here 100. Say OK. So we are done with this if. So if invoice amount same or less than 100, then add approval group, search for the group which we have created. That was approval group 1 and validate the same. So we have validated. After validating, go to this commit task. It is nothing but a validation. Just say OK here. So it is successfully done. Now for creating another rule, just go to edit again, assignees, and select the node. Go to rule. And for creating, just click on this add icon, give name to the rule. I'm giving here more than 100. Just expand this. This is also active. Now just give here the rule, invoice amount. Under invoice header, go to invoice amount and select long value. Say OK here. Here give it as more than, search here, enable this constant and give 100. Say OK. So it is, if invoice amount is more than 100, then add approval group, select which we have created, approval group 2 here, and validate. And after validating, just go to commit tags and say OK. It's like after validating, we are deploying it. So it is successfully done. Say OK. Now we will go to the invoice creation and see how this rule works there. For creating invoice, go to navigator. Under navigator, go to payables. Under payables, go to invoices. Then go to task list, create invoice. Now, here in this invoice, give the details. Give your supplier here. Give invoice number. Now, we have created a rule that for invoice of amount less or equal to 100, the user which we are using right now, with which we are logging into the application, has an authority to approve the same. But for more than amount of 100, this user don't have the authority. So I'm just giving amount more than 100. Let's say 200, right? Now under invoice lines, give amount here 200, then give distribution combination here, select an account, search, search and select any account, any expense account here. Say OK. In this invoice, tax calculation is activated. Just see here. So I'm just adding the tax amount in this invoice. Otherwise, system will create an hold here. So adding that here. Now just go to invoice action and validate. So this is validated. Click on that. You can see the invoice is validated, but under approval required is coming, right? So just go to invoice action, go to approval and initiate the same. Now go to invoice action again and see view approval and notification history. You can see that invoice approval initiated by this user, but the authority is given to another user. So this invoice has been initiated for approval, but the approval authority is with the another user. So when that user will log in and approve this invoice, then it will be proceeded for payment. So this is how approval rules work in the application. Now, now there are some points you must notice in this while we are creating an rule. So what we were doing, we were going giving the name here, a rule name, and then we were expanding it, and we were giving if invoice amount is more than 100, then we select here add approval group which we have created. And if you want to uh, assign this to an supervisor, you can just click on the supervisor, and then this will be this approval rule will be allotted to the supervisor. So in this manner, you can give a number of approval rules in the application. So this was all about the approval rules, or we can say that invoice approval. Thank you.